What's up, Star Wars fans? Today I want to talk about the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, Episode 3. That's right, tomorrow, June 1st, we get the third installment of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which means unfortunately that we're going to be halfway through this series. That said, as usual, we have very little to go on here, and certainly the vast majority of what was shown in the trailers was from Episode 1 and 2. But hey, we do know that Obi-Wan Kenobi and Princess Leia are escaping the planet Daiyu, all thanks to the fake Jedi, Haga. Of course, the big question is, where are they going to end up in Episode 3? And are the Inquisitors going to be able to track them down there? And another big question that came up at the end of Episode 2 is exactly how is the Grand Inquisitor going to survive being impaled by Reva's lightsaber? I mean, we simply know that that character is still alive later in the timeline, so he can't be dead. But those questions out of the way, I asked you, the community, what you thought was coming in Episode 3, and as always, you came up with some fantastic predictions, so let's get into some of those right now. And first up here is Jago Robbins. He states it will be more focused on the Inquisitors, and I think we need to see how the Grand Inquisitor survives. And absolutely, Jago, I think we're going to see the Inquisitor Fortress. The Inquisitor Fortress is actually something that showed up in the trailers that we haven't seen from Episode 1 and 2, so I'd say yes, there's a very good chance that we're going to see more Inquisitors in this third episode. And moving on here, we have another prediction from Jay Mikowski, and he answers that first question I posed: where exactly does Obi-Wan and Leia end up? And he suggests that Kenobi and Leia are going to be sent to a safe planet, and as much as he wants to believe that this is a familiar place with the familiar characters, he doesn't really think that's going to happen. He states there's a droid in the trailers that we haven't seen in the actual show yet. I feel that this droid is a part of some sort of crew on a rundown planet. Obi-Wan will see the brother-like bonds that this crew has, and it will remind him of his relationship with Anakin during the Clone Wars. And thus, we will get a flashback to the Clone Wars in this episode. And hey Jay, you're certainly making a lot of sense, and great callback to the trailer again. That droid probably is going to show up in Episode 3, and from what I remember in the trailer, he was actually firing a blaster in the scene he was in, so perhaps the Inquisitors are able to track down Obi-Wan and Leia, or maybe it's some other threat. But getting back to the community tab, we also got the Medieval Man 9, and he states, I think we're going to see an uptick in the action. Obi-Wan knows that Anakin survived. He knows that completely cutting himself off from the Force was a mistake, and now that the Inquisitors know that he's definitely alive and out there, they're going to be coming after him with a vengeance. And yes, certainly what you're saying here, Medieval Man 9, lines up with what others have been saying. We're probably going to see more of the Inquisitors this episode, and Obi-Wan is going through some sort of transition, getting back to the man he used to be. After all, when we see Obi-Wan on Tatooine in Star Wars Rebels, at that point in the timeline, he's not cut himself off from the Force, and he's more than willing to use his lightsaber. But you know, the one thing we haven't really talked about so far in this preview video, and without some serious support from Darth Vader, I don't see how she isn't being hunted down by the other Inquisitors as well. In fact, maybe that's the Inquisitor storyline for Episode 3, resolving the fact that Reva actually tried to kill the Grand Inquisitor, whereas Obi-Wan and Leia are going to be off on their own adventure, getting into other sorts of trouble. But hey, Star Wars fans, that's all the time I got for my preview today. As always, I'll have my episode review up early tomorrow morning. And that all said, I'm Mike, and remember, the Force will be with you always.